The day she decided the lake belonged to her. The lake had always been my escape. Early mornings, cold air, water so still it looked like glass. No meetings, no emails, no noise except birds and the soft hum of my boat engine. That morning, I docked exactly where I always did. A public dock, maintained by the city, clearly marked with a metal sign. Public water access. First come, first served. That sign would soon become Karen's worst enemy. Part 1. Why I owned the boat. I wasn't rich. The boat wasn't fancy. It was an older fishing boat I'd saved for over years. Patched, repainted, and reliable. I used it on weekends to fish, clear my head, and forget the world existed. The lake bordered a high-end HOA neighborhood. $1 million homes, private docks, perfect lawns, and one woman who believed the lake belonged to her. Enter HOA Karen. I noticed her standing on her dock before she spoke. Arms crossed, designer sunglasses, phone already in her hand. She watched me tie my boat, not casually, possessively. Then she shouted, "Hey!" I looked up. "Yes?" "You can't dock that here." I glanced at the sign, then back at her. "This is public dock space." She laughed. A short, sharp laugh. "No, it's not. This dock is for residents." I stayed calm. City-owned dock. Anyone can use it. Her smile vanished. "I'm on the HOA board." There it was. Her first threat. She walked closer, heels clicking on wood. "Our HOA has strict rules about boats. That thing doesn't meet our standards." I blinked. "Your HOA doesn't own the lake." She scoffed. "We maintain it." "No, you don't." "Yes, we do." I pointed at the sign. "That's city property." She leaned in. "You'll move it, or I'll have it towed." That was mistake number 1. I refused. I tied the final knot, locked my cooler, and looked her dead in the eyes. "No." She stared like she'd never heard that word before. "What did you just say?" "No." Her face flushed red. "You think you can just park your junk boat in front of our homes?" I smiled politely. "It's not parked. It's docked, legally." She pulled out her phone. "I'm calling HOA enforcement." I nodded. "Go ahead." She wasn't expecting that. Part 5, the show notice. 2 hours later, while I was fishing, my phone buzzed. Email. Subject line. "To violation, unauthorized watercraft." I laughed out loud. They fined me $750 for violating HOA aesthetic rules. On public water, Karen had officially lost her mind. She escalates. When I came back to the dock, Karen was waiting, this time with another woman. Clipboard, printed documents, smug expressions. "You've been fined," Karen said. "I don't live here," I replied. "That doesn't matter." "Oh, but it did." "The tow threat." She crossed her arms. "If you don't remove your boat, we'll tow it." I pulled out my phone. "Touch my boat and it's theft." She laughed. "We'll see." And that's when I knew. This wasn't over. The tow truck that shouldn't have been there. The next morning, I came back to the lake early. Same calm water, same birds, same peace. Until I saw it, a tow truck, parked right next to the public dock. My stomach tightened. Karen stood there with her arms crossed, smiling like she'd already won. "You're late," she said. "We gave you plenty of time to move it." I looked at the driver. He looked uncomfortable. "What's going on?" I asked him. She answered for him. "He's here to remove that boat. It violates HOA rules." The driver scratched his head. "Ma'am, I was told this was private property." Karen pointed toward the houses. "It's part of our HOA shoreline." I walked over to the dock sign and tapped it. "City-owned. Public water access." The driver frowned. "I don't want any trouble." Karen snapped, "Just do your job." I stopped the tow. I stepped between the driver and my boat. "Sir, if you touch that boat, I'll report it stolen." Karen scoffed. "You can't threaten contractors." I smiled. "I can report crimes." The driver pulled out his phone. "I need to call my dispatcher." Karen's smile faltered. Karen loses her cool. While the driver was on the phone, Karen turned to me. "You think this is funny?" "No," I said. "I think it's illegal." She stepped closer. "We pay to maintain this lake." "No, you don't." "Yes, we do." I pulled up the city website and showed her. She didn't even look. "Doesn't matter," she snapped. We don't want your kind of boats here. That sentence hung in the air. The driver looked at her sharply. My kind, I asked. She realized too late what she'd said. The tow truck leaves. The driver ended his call. Yeah, I'm not touching this. Karen spun around. What do you mean? This is public water. If I tow that boat, I lose my license. Karen's face went crimson. I'll report you. He shrugged. Do what you gotta do. The tow truck drove off, and Karen snapped. The police call again. She pulled out her phone. I'm calling the police. I nodded calmly. Good. She yelled into the phone. There's an unauthorized boat blocking our shoreline. When the police arrived, they didn't even step out right away. They already looked tired. The officers asked one question. One officer pointed at the sign. Is that a public dock? Yes, I said. Karen opened her mouth. Then there's no issue, the officer said. Karen exploded. But HOA rules don't apply on water or public docks, he cut in. She screamed. You're siding with him. The officer sighed. Ma'am, you're wasting our time. The warning. The second officer pulled Karen aside. Low voice. Serious tone. I couldn't hear everything, but I caught. False report. Harassment. Last warning. Karen nodded aggressively, pretending she wasn't being scolded, but her hands were shaking. The email storm. That afternoon, my inbox exploded. Emails from HOA Board, HOA Legal Committee. Random residents CC'd for intimidation. Karen accused me of endangering residents, lowering property value, blocking emergency access, violating water etiquette. I replied once, with attachments. City waterway maps, dock ownership records, police incident number. Then I stopped responding. That silence, it drove her insane. The HOA meeting announcement. 2 days later, a notice appeared in my inbox. Emergency HOA meeting. Lake usage and non-resident interference. I smiled, because this time, I was ready. Karen prepares her speech. I heard later she'd been knocking on doors, telling neighbors, that boat is unsafe. He's violating lake law. The HOA will lose control. Some believed her. Most didn't, because everyone knew one thing. The lake existed long before the HOA. The night of the meeting, the room was packed, residents standing along the walls. Karen sat front and center, confident again. She thought this meeting would end me. She had no idea. It would end her authority instead. The meeting she thought she controlled. The emergency HOA meeting started exactly how Karen wanted. She stood near the front, talking loudly, making sure everyone heard her version of the story before it officially began. That boat is dangerous. It doesn't belong here. If we don't act now, this lake will turn into chaos. People nodded politely. Some rolled their eyes. Everyone had seen this before. When the HOA president finally called the meeting to order, Karen sat down confidently, arms crossed, already convinced she'd won. Karen gets the floor. Karen raised her hand immediately. She didn't wait to be called on. I'll be brief, she said, standing up. A non-resident has been docking an unauthorized, unsafe boat directly in front of our community. This violates HOA standards and threatens property values. She gestured toward me. That man refuses to cooperate. Every eye in the room turned to me. I stayed seated. Calm, silent. Karen mistook that for weakness. The first question that cracked her story. The HOA president cleared his throat. Karen, can you confirm something first? She smiled. Of course. Does the HOA own the lake or the dock in question? Karen hesitated. Well, we maintain... The president cut her off gently. Do we own it? Silence. No, she admitted. But, and is the dock marked as public access? Karen's jaw tightened. Yes. The room shifted. That was the first crack. I finally stand up. The president nodded toward me. Would you like to respond? I stood and spoke calmly. I docked my boat at a city-owned public dock on public water. I followed all posted regulations. I am not part of this HOA. I pulled out my folder. Maps. City documents. Photos of the dock sign. I handed copies to the board. Karen's confidence evaporated in real time. The city official enters. That's when the door opened. A woman stepped inside. Clipboard. City badge. She introduced herself as a municipal waterways officer. I was asked to attend due to repeated false reports regarding lake access. Karen's face went pale. The officer spoke clearly. The lake is public. The dock is public. No HOA has authority over either. Then she added, any attempt to tow, fine, or restrict lawful access could be considered harassment. The room went silent. Karen panics. Karen snapped. So anyone can just bring any boat they want? The officer nodded. As long as it's legal. Karen turned to the board. You're just going to let this happen? The president sighed. Karen, you've gone too far. The board exposes the truth. The HOA treasurer spoke next. We've received multiple complaints about you contacting tow companies without authorization. Another board member added, and issuing fines without approval. Another, and representing yourself as HOA enforcement. Karen spun around. You're all turning on me? The president replied calmly, we're stopping misconduct. The consequences. The president read from a prepared statement. Immediate removal of Karen from any HOA committee. Formal censure placed on record. Reimbursement to the HOA for legal consultation costs. Written order prohibiting her from contacting non-residents about HOA matters. Any further incidents will result in legal action. Karen looked around the room. No one defended her. Not one person. The walkout. Karen grabbed her purse. This is unbelievable, she muttered. She stormed toward the door, then stopped, turned back. This isn't over. The city officer looked at her calmly. It is if you want it to be. Karen left. And for the first time since I'd met her, she didn't look powerful. She looked small. The final irony. 2 weeks later, I docked my boat again. Same spot. Same lake. This time, something was different. 3 other boats were docked nearby. Kayaks, fishing boats, a small pontoon, families laughing, kids fishing, and Karen's dock, empty. Curtains closed. No phone calls. No yelling. No threats. What I learned. Karen didn't care about rules. She cared about control. She believed proximity meant ownership. She believed money meant authority. But public spaces exist for a reason. And the moment she tried to privatize what didn't belong to her, she lost everything she thought she controlled. The end. I still use that dock. I still fish that lake. And every time I tie my boat and see the public water access sign, I smile. Because Karen learned the hardest lesson of all. HOA power ends where public land begins.